Hello, my friends. So some of you know I am in grad school now again, and it's intense. So sorry I haven't been posting as much as I'd wanted to. It's been hard to find time when I haven't been trying to learn accounting. So what I'm here with today is just sort of a reading update. I have a couple of books that I really want to share with you. And so I thought I would give you a peek into what I've managed to read recently and what I am going to be starting. One of my favorite witchy reads from the month of October is the Once and Future Witches by Alix Harrow. And this author also wrote The 10,000 Doors of January, which I really love too. So Alix Harrow has a sort of lyrical writing style. Her books unfold in a really beautiful way. And if you like stories where you start in one place and you sort of take a circular route to get to where the story will come together in the end, this is an author that you would like. But it was beautiful, and it is the story of three sisters in the 1800s in a fictional town called New Salem. And it takes place in sort of an alternate world where there were the Salem witch trials in Old Salem, and of course these sisters are descended from a line of women who have the ways and the words. And what I really loved about this book was, yes, there's witchcraft in the sense of what we sort of think about as like the big flashy things that make up witchcraft, like flying on broomsticks and things like that, but it's not the focus. The focus of the witchcraft in this book is just women passing down through generations in their families the little bits that make life easier. So, you know, the way to keep a man from being overly interested, ways to ease childbirth, you know, all of those things that we sort of think about as natural things that women teach each other, but magic. And so there's both instances of big things happening, and then there's lots of little bits, and it's wisdom shared amongst women. And each of the three sisters has to take sort of an emotional journey to figure out who she really is and what her place in the world is. And it's a beautiful book. So if you like magic at all, if you like witches at all, even if you just really sort of like stories about family relationships, and you don't mind a sprinkle, more than a sprinkle, but you know, a magic theme, this was a really, really great read. It was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. And it just reaffirmed again, like I said, that I really like the way that Alix Harrow tells a story. So I have a novella from her that I'm going to try to read in the next couple of months because I like her writing style. Next book that I wanted to share is one that I finished last night, and I actually read it on my Kindle. So I'm gonna superimpose the cover on there so that you can see it. But it is Empire of Dragons by Rachel Schade, or Schade. I'm not sure which way she pronounces it. And this one, there are two sort of peoples that live in this kingdom, and they happen to be racially divided. So there is the what had been the ruling class, and then people who were unfortunately enslaved. And before this story starts, a few years prior, the Empress was killed. And so the story begins, as I said, a few years later, with the daughter of the Empress, now the Empress of the kingdom, but she's Empress only in name. There is now a ruling council. When the Empress was killed, they revolted and they took over. So you have Jaeliana, who is the Empress, as I said, in name, living basically as a captive in her own palace. No power, no decisions. She's not able to make her own way. And she's still grieving because her mother was killed, and her mother was not a nice woman. She was not a kind empress, but it was still her mother, and she treated her well. And so Jaeliana doesn't really, she was not exposed to the worst of her mother's actions, so she is struggling with coming to grips with what happened. It's as simple as that. And then the other main character of the story, Lo, she is the girl who killed the Empress. She was a slave in the palace, and the Empress murdered her little brother right in front of her, and she fought back and ended up killing the Empress and became sort of the keystone of this revolution, even though she had no intention. She's an accidental assassin, and now she's living in secret as a nun, just trying to sort of atone for this horrific thing that she did, even though it was in self-defense. So these two girls are at complete odds. They don't know about each other. And they both just want what's best for their people, which happens to be not the same thing, because they're from two different groups of people who want two very different things. So the kingdom again is sort of coming to a boiling point where the now ruling class is trying to hold their power and ignore the fact that what had been the ruling class is now murdering their people and trying to start a new rebellion. So it's a very turbulent time in the kingdom. There's also magic. So the people in this world have the ability to communicate and ride dragons, some of them. And it's always sort of been that whoever controls the dragons controls the kingdom. So there's a whole dragon aspect, but there's also just magic that occurs because of God-given gifts. And the slave race worships a god who bestows life-giving gifts. And they all, to some degree, are able to sort of meditate and access this god's magic in different degrees. And Jaeliana, the Empress, ends up being assigned a guard, a specific guard who has very strong magic. And he's now living even more trapped in her palace with this boy soldier who has magic. And she discovers that he's given a special gift, a very, very dangerous special gift. And that causes even more issues when she accidentally ends up killing someone. So is again a story of a kingdom sort of torn between two classes of people who desperately want to rule. They each feel abused by the other, and it's two teenage girls who are just literally trying to A, live their own lives, and B, do the best that they can for their people. And they both become very pivotal to their own causes. And it's got magic and it's got dragons. And so if you like stories, you know, with secrets and spies and rebellion plots and royalty, that would be a fun read. So I'll put the cover up here again and check that one out. So next I wanted to share a book, again, that is by one of my favorite new authors. I discovered Lola Glass right at the end of last year, and I have read every book she's put out since then, which has been quite a few. I'm actually lucky enough to be on her early reading team, so I get to read books before they come out. And this book specifically is very special to me. I purchased a paper copy rather than just the ebook because I won a contest. The author, Lola Glass, had a contest, and I got to design a character that's actually in this book. So the main characters in this book are Mesa and Tuslan. And it is, unlike a lot of her other books, which are what we call urban fantasy. So they have supernatural or fantastical elements, but they take place in our world. This one is a full fantasy, so it has a completely different world. And it is a world where not only are there shifters, because I love a good shifter story, but here, everybody who is a shifter starts out with their human form and their wolf form. So everybody's a wolf shifter. But then you have more power if you have the ability to shift into other things as well. So there are people who are a wolf and a bear, or a wolf and a phoenix, or a wolf and a dragon. And then there are people who, again, are exponentially more powerful because they have more forms. So Mesa is human, and she is a human who was brought up in a very specific way, sheltered in a palace, because she's part of this prophesied line. And she is raised to be the human queen in this kingdom, shifter queen and a human queen. And as long as they both exist, like, their world prospers. If there were not to be a shifter queen, then the shifters would lose their ability to change form. She lives in this palace with the shifter queen, and there's a rebellion, and the shifter queen is murdered. So she goes on the run, and she ends up in the one place that she thinks nobody will look, but it happens to be the most dangerous, like, neighboring kingdom, and it is run by Tuslan, who can go super powerful, super scary. Everybody is terrified of him. And so she is terrified when she gets there, but she has to hide it. And she has to pretend to be a super weak shifter so they don't know that she's human. Instead, I got to design a side character in this book. So when she gets to the Blood Kingdom, she ends up in the kitchens where they feed, like, the pack. She ends up helping out there, and the woman who runs the food service Her name is Alix, and she's the character that I designed. I was so amazed to see this character that came out of my head be in this book. And I found out from Lola that not only will she continue to be in the books as the series progresses, but she liked the character enough and the backstory that she created for her that there's going to be a book down the road where Alix is the main character, and I'm so excited. So I'll be collecting this entire series because, like I said, it's just so cool to have that character that lived in my brain be on the written page now. So, and then the book that I'm starting tonight, I'm actually really excited for. This is A Secret in Onyx by Jessica Florence. And I haven't started it yet, so I don't know everything that it's about, but I don't know if you're going to be able to read this. But it is a fae story, so fairies, and it's like post-apocalyptic, and those are elements that totally are right up my alley as well. And so I am super excited to read this one. And then if you follow my Instagram, which is I Read to Relax, I actually have a tour post for this, I think on Saturday. So I will be sharing my review then. So again, this is my next read. So thanks for sticking with me and my lengthy explanations of what I've been reading. And that's only a fraction of what I've been reading. School has definitely slowed me down some, but it's also been a really nice balance to be able to do schoolwork during the day and then binge watch some TV or read at night. So I sort of escape into fantasy worlds to balance out the math that has turned my brain to mush during the day. So, all right, everybody, I hope that you are reading something fabulous. And if not, pick up one of the books that I mentioned, or ask me for other recommendations anytime. You can hit me up on Instagram, or you can put like a question for recommendations in the comments, and I will see you in a week or less. All right. Happy reading. Bye.